We'll handle a variety of matters. We will take up pleas, address bond, and arraign cases as necessary. All defendants, I advise you, you have an absolute right to remain silent. Anything you say regarding the facts of your case can and will be used against you. You also have the right to an attorney today. All participants, this particular proceeding is being broadcast over the internet. It's also being recorded. That means any member of the public can log on and watch this. When I ask you if you understand your rights, those are what I'm referring to. All right, let's begin. Who do we have first at courtroom 2? And as a reminder, courtroom 2 is muted, so I will need at least temporary unmuting so I can know who's coming.
Jamal here.
We got Mr. Baker.
Okay,
And this is position number. Yeah, position number 2.
position 2, all right. And the announcement I have is that this is the negotiated plea.
Yes, Your Honor, this will be a negotiated plea.
All right, good morning. Counsel, who's there in courtroom 2? I can't really see, your screen is small. Who are you, sir?
Tremaine Baker, Tremaine Lattimore.
Not you, sir. I know who you are. I'm talking to counsel. Counsel,
Ms. Dotis,
My apologies, Your Honor. Angela Dotis for the Public Defender's
oh,
Office.
hi, Mr. Dotis. It's good to see you. My screen is just very small today.
Understood. Good to see you too, Your Honor.
Wanted to extend you greetings. All right. Before I begin, this is your case, Mr. Young? You're muted, Mr. Young.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, good morning. All right, if you would please give me the state's offer as well as the factual basis supporting the offer, or, you know, supporting the case at least. Thank you.
Case against Mr. Baker, theft by shoplifting. The state's plea recommendation is 12 months served, 30 days, credit for time served, 18 days, and stay away from all family dollars, and to complete the anti-theft course with the balance of probation, balance probated. The factual basis in this case is law enforcement responded to the family dollar at said incident location, 3310 Dogwood Drive in Hazelwood, Georgia, and advised the accused had put items in his pants, backpack, and also walked out holding 6 Easter baskets.
He's not gonna have to serve any additional time at the Fulton County Jail if he takes his plea, correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. All right, Mr. Baker, I'm gonna ask you some questions to make sure that this is a voluntary plea today. Will you please raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today for the limited purposes of taking this plea will be the truth to the best of your knowledge under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. You can put your hand down. Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol at this time?
No, ma'am, Your Honor.
Did anyone promise you anything in exchange for taking the plea?
No, ma'am, Your Honor.
Did anyone force you to take a plea?
No, ma'am, Your Honor.
And do you understand that as a part of these conditions, you cannot return to any family dollar, not just the one involved in this case? And you also have to take an anti-theft class. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
And you understand by taking the plea, you're giving up your right to have the state prove these charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
And you'll have no further court dates regarding this particular charge.
No, ma'am, Your Honor.
All right, as to the charge of theft by shoplifting, Mr. Baker, how do you plead?
I plead guilty.
I accept your guilty plea at this time. If there's nothing further from the state or the defense, that'll conclude the hearing. Anything further, Mr. Young or Mr. Dotis?
Nothing further, Your Honor. We did stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID for the purpose of this plea.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Hill has a question about a separate case, and I'm going to answer that after this, but it doesn't concern this plea.
All right, thank you, Mr. Baker. Best of luck to you, all right?
All right.
I'll come speak to you in a second, okay?
come on, Gilbert.
And
Position,
thank you.
position number 8, Gilbert.
All right, I have this, it says hold for announcement. What is the announcement for this case, Mr. Dotis?
I need to speak with Mr. Gilbert for a second before we go forward to decide. what we're
That's all right. Can we take Mr. Murphy's case in the meantime?
Thank you, Judge. I've submitted the plea paperwork to the clerk. I'm in the clerk's office.
Who is
All
the
right.
client?
I've got Hassan Langford.
He's on the seventh floor. We don't have an officer up there yet.
Okay.
Okay, as soon as we can, we'll take you.
Okay. I'm just gonna mute.
That's fine, thank you. Is there anyone else that we can change? That's not Mr. Dotis's client? Probably not.
We got position number 10 and 11 of the hill.
That's, I guess.
That's
Is
your-
Mr. McLean there?
Position 12, Jackson.
Uh,
Eric Jackson.
That's me too. You got McLean started 15.
Mr. McLean has 15 through 26. Is he there?
Yes, he's here.
Good morning, Mr. McLean. All right, and who do we have?
Aaron Jackson.
No, move. He didn't talk to you. Give me, Thomas, Jamal Thomas in Cobb County. Oh, no, man, we don't have, yeah, I gotta go grab him. Kennedy Thomas. He's on there.
I'm sorry, who's coming? What
We
position?
have Timothy Thomas. We have two Thomases today.
Timothy Thomas, position number 24.
Thank you.
This
And the
is
announcement.
please.
Thank you. It's still negotiated plea. All right, Mr. Thomas, your case is 23 CR 00216. I'm sorry, 2126Y. In this case, you're charged with criminal trespass with the offense date of April the 6th. Do you understand, right?
Yes,
All right, thank you. It's a negotiated plea. Mr. Jones, if you would give me the state's offer as well as the factual basis supporting that offer.
Yes, Your Honor. So the state's offer is going to be 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days, stay away from 1031 Fair Street, and no further contact with Miss Beverly Thomas. Had this case gone to trial, the state would have been able to prove that on April 6, 2023, at approximately 5:31 p.m., officers responded to a criminal trespass at the 492 Hateville, Georgia. That's the address for the stay away. Upon arrival, officers met with the homeowner, Ms. Beverly Glaze, and Ms. Glaze advised officers that she had previously given the defendant a warning, and officers confirmed, therefore he was arrested, and that's the premise for the state's offer.
I need to clarify the stay away. It's not the Fair Street. It is, what's the address?
It's going to be 492 Hateville, Georgia.
Is it Hateville Road? I guess I'm trying to clarify the exact address to make sure our paperwork is correct.
1 second, Your Honor.
Okay. I'm assuming, is it 492 Fair Street perhaps?
No,
In
ma'am,
Hateville?
it's Hateville for sure.
All right, while we're clarifying that, Mr. McLean, do you stipulate to factual basis, ID, and venue in this case?
we do.
And was that also your understanding of the offer?
Yes, it is.
All right, Mr. Thomas, I'm gonna place you under oath. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
All right, you can put your hand down. Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol at this time?
No, ma'am.
Did anyone force you to take a plea today?
No, ma'am.
Did anyone promise you anything in exchange for taking a plea?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with Mr. McLean's representation?
Yes.
And you understand by taking the plea, you're not gonna have any further court dates regarding these charges?
Yes.
And you understand that you're waiving your right to have the state prove these charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes.
And you further understand that you cannot have any contact with Ms. Thomas and you must stay away from that incident location?
Yes.
As to the charge of criminal trespass, Mr. Thomas, how do you plead?
Guilty.
I accept your guilty plea. If you don't have other holds, you should be released from the Fulton County Jail, but this case is no longer holding you in, all right?
All right.
But let's clarify, Mr. Jones, what is the address?
The address is going to be 492 Lake Drive, Capeville, Georgia.
Okay. Thank you.
They don't-
All right, is there anything further from state or the defense as it pertains to this case?
No, Your Honor.
All right, don't go back to that address, okay?
All right.
Take care. All right, who do we have next?
Position 1 and 2, add on, Mr. Ryder. Come on, Ryder.
1 and 2 add-on. All right. Mr. Ryder, you have two cases, 22 CR 007105D. In that case, you're charged with DUI and speeding. And in the second case, I believe that this is just, is this a FTA or bench case that will get null prize, Mr. Young? Is that what happens to position 2?
That's correct.
Okay, so we're really just addressing position 1. Do you understand your rights today?
I do. Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. The announcement I have is that this is a negotiated plea.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Young, if you give me the offer and the factual basis, please.
Just to clarify real quick, originally it was 2 offers to pick from. Which one is he going with?
The DUI court.
DUI court. Okay.
Is it, we have a little bit of a menu item today?
Yes.
Okay,
The plea recommendation from the state is it is 24.
You can do it non-negotiable.
Yes. Yeah, DUI and speeding, so it would be a total of 24 months, 72 hours, balance probated, $700 fine, 240 hours of community service, risk reduction, and 1 victim impact panel if defendant enters DUI court. So,
I'm sorry, can you please tell me the 24 months of probation, and I'm assuming it's 12 months on each count running consecutively?
on a consecutive, that's correct.
All right, and he served 72 hours in the Fulton County Jail. He'll receive credit for the 72 hours.
That's correct.
And I'm sorry, and I didn't hear the amount of community service.
The amount of community service is 240 hours with risk
Okay.
reduction and 1 victim impact panel.
I got that part. All right. We're gonna ask you some questions, Mr. Ryder, make sure that this is a voluntary plea. All right? Please raise your right hand so I can place you under oath. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, I do.
All right, you can put your hand down. Thank you. All right, are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol at this time?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney's representation?
I am.
Did
Yes.
anyone force you to take a plea today?
No, ma'am.
And you understand you're waiving your right to have the state prove these charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes.
And you're waiving your right to any court date where you could have presented some defenses that may have resulted in a dismissal?
Yes, ma'am.
And you understand you have quite a few requirements. You will be on probation for 24 months. You should not have additional time to serve at the Fulton County Jail. You will have to pay a $700 fine. There are 2 courses that you're gonna take, and you have to do 240 hours of community service. Do you understand all of that, Mr. Ryder?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right, as to the charges of DUI and speeding, how do you plead, Mr. Ryder?
Guilty, Your Honor.
All right, I accept your guilty plea. Is there anything further from the state of the defense?
I just need to make sure that he understands because of, well, for whatever reason, that he understands that if he is particularly strapped financially, that he at this time this would be the time to ask the court to convert any portion or all of the fine at the rate of $10 an hour to more community service on top of the 240. Do you understand that clearly?
I do. I
All right,
understand.
should you do the $700 fine and the 240, or should you do more than 240 and less than $700 fine?
I am currently employed, so doesn't.
Okay, so we'll leave the fine as is. All right?
Oh, I don't need more probation or community service.
Okay, so you're gonna get a job and pay that.
I have a job.
Okay. thank you.
All right, wonderful. I believe we've concluded Mr. Ryder's hearing. If Mr. Young or Mr. McLean doesn't have anything further.
Nothing, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck.
Also, excuse me, Judge, this is Ms. Lewis. Also, please let them know that when there's a fine, there's gonna be surcharges, so it's gonna be more than $700.
Oh, they know. It's about double.
All right. Best of luck to you, Mr. Ryder. That concludes your case at this time, all right?
Your Honor, item number 3, Mr. Thomas Donald.
All right. I'm sorry, was it this Donald Thompson that's coming?
Thompson, yes, Your Honor.
All right, I'm ready for Mr. Thompson.
Donald Thompson.
Is he coming?
Here. Maybe not
All
not in the room yet. He's
All right.
not yet. We'll check on him.
Can we take someone else then that belongs to Mr.
Sherman,
McLean?
position 22, Mr. Sherman.
Carl Sherman is 22.
And the announcement I have for that is it's a negotiated plea.
It is.
Okay. All right, Mr. Sherman, in this case, 23 CR 002120J, you're charged with 2 counts of criminal trespass with the offense date of April the 6th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Jones, if you give me the offer slowly, I don't have the announcements on my particular calendar today. And if you'd also give me the factual basis supporting the state's offer.
Yes, Your Honor. So the state's offer is going to be 12 months to serve, 28 days, credit for time served 14, balance suspended, and a stay away from MARTA.
Does he have an active MARTA suspension already?
He does have an active MARTA suspension, Your Honor.
All right, and if you give me the factual basis?
Yes, Your Honor. So this took place at 502 Road Street, in which officers observed Mr. Sherman on camera after being told he should not return back due to his active MARTA suspension.
All right. Mr. McLean, was that your understanding of the offer? And do you so stipulate the factual basis, ID, and venue?
We do stipulate to those 3 elements, Your Honor, and it is our understanding of the terms.
All right. I'm going to ask you some questions, Mr. Sherman. Please raise your right hand.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol at this time?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney's representation?
Yes, ma'am.
Did anyone force you to take a plea?
No, ma'am.
Did anyone promise you anything in exchange for taking a plea?
No, ma'am.
And you understand you're giving up your right to any further court dates or to have the state have proved these charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're prepared to waive your right to present any defenses you may have had?
Yes.
And you understand that you should not have to serve any additional time at the Fulton County Jail. However, you cannot return to MARTA. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, as to the charges of criminal trespass, Mr. Sherman, how do you plead?
I plead guilty.
All right, I accept your guilty plea at this time. If there's nothing further, that should close your case. Best of luck to you, sir. Anything, Mr. McLean or Mr. Young?
Nothing, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, Mr. Jones.
Nothing,
right.
Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Best of luck to you. Who do we have next?
Good to meet you.
We have Mr. Thomas Jamal, position 23.
Is Jamal Thomas is now present? Okay, Your Honor, I need to talk to him. He was outsourced to Cobb County.
I saw that. I wasn't expecting us to have him. Is Mr. Dotis still speaking on his client, or can we go back to a position that he had?
I'm ready, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Dotis, if you would tell me. I'm sorry, we just spoke to someone that we called a position and you spoke to that person. Who was that?
I spoke with position 8, Mr. Gilbert.
Okay, so I'm assuming that's where we're going now.
We can, Mr. Gilbert, Horace Gilbert, do you want to come up?
And what's the announcement?
Yes, Your Honor, we'll be entering a plea of not guilty. And I'd like to address bond.
All right, has this case been arraigned? I'm assuming not. Or do you waive arraignment, Mr. Dotis?
Yes, Your Honor, I'll be waiving arraignment and I'll submit that paperwork at the close of court today.
Thank you, I appreciate that. All right, we'll hear Mr. Gilbert. We'll conduct a bond hearing for Mr. Gilbert. Mr. Gilbert, your case is 23 CR 002115F. In this case, you're charged with criminal trespass and damage to property with the offense date of March the 14th. Do you understand your rights? All right, thank you. Is there anyone from pretrial on the line today?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm here.
Oh, good morning, Ms. Tyson. If you
Good morning.
would you please give me this defendant's history?
Yeah, defendant has 3 arrest cycles out of Georgia and 1 misdemeanor conviction for criminal trespass out of Rockdale County. Position date is July 2022. Nothing to add.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Young, if you give me the state's position on bond.
I'm trying to see what his bond is currently. The state's position, it's a criminal trespass that occurred at the MARTA and 5 Points where the defendant was observed damaging the front glass door. So the state would ask the bond to, he's on $1,000 surety bond. So the state would ask the bond to stay as it is. This isn't his first incident at MARTA. According to the report, the detective, he did some research and found that Mr. Gilbert was detained in reference to a fight that happened at the West End MARTA station. So I don't know if anything came of that case. However, but it seems that he has an issue, you know.
So he was at MARTA fighting and then some glass. Is that what happened?
The first MARTA incident happened 3/18 of 2022, where he was detained. This incident occurred 3/14/2023 at a different MARTA location. So the state's position went to leave the bond as a $1,000 surety bond.
Okay. And I'm sorry, what kind of glass? It was just, it was a window broken? I'm just trying to understand what happened, alleged.
He had punched the front door glass of MARTA bus 1664, causing about $400 worth of damage. The incident was captured on the MARTA CCTV surveillance and witnessed by MARTA bus operators.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Young. All right, Mr. Jodes.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Gilbert is 39 years old, currently held on a $1,000 surety bond, which has held him at the Fulton County Jail for 15 days. Mr. Gilbert is unable to pay that bond or any monetary bond, so we would request a signature bond. I have received a phone number so I can stay in contact with Mr. Gilbert. He is a lifelong resident of Atlanta. He's currently residentially challenged, but I am going to provide him with resources for housing and shelters, as well as pretrial's phone number so he can stay in contact and let them know where he is. I do not believe he'll be a flight risk. He also received his associate's degree from DeKalb Technical College, and hopefully can use that to help land back on his feet. He's clear that if he's released, he would have to stay away from MARTA as well as comply with any active suspensions. And again, I noted that I would note that the offer was for time served, but Mr. Gilbert does maintain his innocence. So I don't think there's any belief among us or the Solicitor General's office that he would be a threat, a further threat, since they were going to offer him to release, but he does maintain his innocence. So for these reasons, we would just ask for signature bond so that Mr. Gilbert can be a part of his defense while not being detained.
All right. I'm sorry. And in that history, were there any FTAs? I'm sorry, Ms. Tyson. I apologize. Were there any FTAs?
No FTAs.
Okay. All right. Defendant is going to receive $1,000 signature bond through pretrial per judge if he's not previously approved. He is to stay away from all MARTA in its entirety and have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition of that signature bond through pretrial services.
Thank you, Your Honor, and I'll prepare that order as soon as I get out of here.
All right, thank you.
Judge,
Yes,
Judge, if you'll let me just jump out for about 15 minutes, I've got to go to a status calendar.
that's fine. Is Mr. Murphy's client ready by any chance? I was gonna see if you could whip it up real quick.
Okay.
And so you wouldn't have to come back. Is Mr. Murphy's client at courtroom 2?
It's who, yeah, I'm
That's
sorry.
okay. All right, Mr. Murphy, we'll see you in a moment.
Thank you, Judge.
Your Honor, really quick, is there a particular level that you want Mr. Gilbert on for pretrial services?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Is there a particular level that you want Mr. Gilbert released on to pretrial services? He's recommended for level 2, but it's up to you.
Level 2 is fine.
Okay.
That's reporting how often?
I will have to check. It may be, I think they're doing like you can check in like email, phone call, and Zoom. He may actually have those options for level 2.
Level 2 is fine. Level 2 is
Okay.
fine. Thank you, Ms. Tyson.
Thank you.
All right, I apologize. Who do we have next?
Yeah, we have Mr. Hill Harmon, Mr. number 10 and 11.
All right. And the announcement I have is 10 is negotiated, but number 11, I'm holding for an announcement.
Yes, Your Honor. Position 11 will also be a negotiated plea.
All right, we're gonna do both cases at the same time. All right, good morning, Mr. Hill. Your cases are 22 CR 0000589A. In that case, you're charged with loitering and prowling with the offense date of June the 9th of 2021. You're also here for case 23 CR 002131A. In that case, you're charged with simple battery with the offense date of April the 7th of this year. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Young, if you give me the offers for both cases, as well as the factual basis supporting the state's offers.
Okay, and we have Mr. Hill.
Yes.
The first case, loitering, prowling, law enforcement made contact with he and another individual at 4365 Fulton Industrial Boulevard in South Fulton, and where he was advised to leave, where Mr. Hill refused. The state's recommendation in that case is 12 months probation. Stay away from 4365 Fulton Industrial Boulevard. That's the Grand Buffet registration. This will run concurrent to the following position, where Mr. Hill is charged with simple battery, where the victim, Ms. Stanford, advised that she was asleep at 4403 Fulton Industrial in South Fulton Starship location. She advised she was assaulted by Mr. Hill. He had stomped and kicked her. 2 witnesses observed him stomping and kicking the victim. The plea rec in that case is 12 months served. Originally served 60 days, credit for time served, 12 days, the balance probated, 8-week anger management, no further contact with Ms. Stanford. However, me and defense counsel, we were in negotiations. Did he want to accept the alternative offer of the community service?
Yes, sorry, my apologies for not confirming that.
Okay. So the new plea rec for the simple battery will be 12 months served, 24 days, credit for time served, 12 days to balance probated, 8-week anger management, no further contact with Debbie Stanford, and 40 hours community service.
Okay. So no additional jail time.
No additional jail time.
Right. And Your Honor, we would request this court to waive Mr. Hill's probation fees to help him get back on his feet. He'll currently be residentially challenged And if there's no objection, if you could switch to non-reporting status upon completion of all terms.
All right, yes, he can go non-reporting and I'll waive 3 months of fees. Well, actually, you said he's residentially challenged, Mr. Dotis?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I will waive all fees.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, let me ask you some questions, Mr. Hill, to make sure that this is a voluntary plea. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury? All right. Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol at this time? Did anyone force you to take a plea? Did anyone promise you anything in exchange? You understand by taking the plea, you're waiving your right to any further court date regarding these charges?
Yes, ma'am.
And you understand the requirements that you must stay away from the address on Fulton Industrial as it pertains to your first case?
Yes, ma'am.
And as it pertains to your second case, you're gonna take an 8-week anger management class, complete 40 hours of community service, and have no contact with Ms. Stanford. You understand all of that?
Yes, ma'am.
And as to the charges of loitering and prowling, how do you plead, Mr. Hill?
Yes.
And as to the charge of simple battery, how do you plead, Mr. Hill?
Yes.
And Mr. Dotis, did you stipulate the factual basis, ID, and venue?
We do so stipulate the 3 elements for the purpose of this plea, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Is there anything further from either party?
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, hearing none, best of luck to you, Mr. Hill. That concludes your case. All right, who do we have next?
Y'all on position number 12, Mr. Jackson, Eric.
All right. All right, Mr. Jackson, your case is 22 CR 008449Y. In this case, you're charged with simple battery family violence with the offense date of October the 28th. You understand you're right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, the announcement I have is that this is a negotiated plea.
Yes, Your Honor. And we do stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID.
All right, thank you. Mr. Young, if I could have the offer as well as a brief factual basis.
All right. In the case against Mr. Jackson, simple battery family violence, date of offense is 10/28/2022. Law enforcement were dispatched to 3256 West Manor Lane, southwestern Atlanta. Upon arrival, they made contact with the victim, Mia Jackson, who's advised that her son, the accused, had assaulted her. While standing in the bedroom, the accused slapped her in the face with an open hand. The state's recommendation in this case is 12 months served, 180 days, credit for time served, 115 days. With the balance probated, stay away from 3256 West Manor Lane, southwestern Atlanta, and no further contact with Mia Jackson and Family Violence Intervention Program.
Okay. All right, was that your understanding of the offer, Mr. Dotis?
Yes, Your Honor. That's our understanding of the offer. Given Mr. Jackson's time in custody, we would request this court to waive his probation fees to help him get back on his feet, as he has been in custody. It looks like 166 days. And if there's no objection, to switch him over to non-reporting status upon completion of the FVIP program, but he's clear on all conditions and the offer.
All right, he can go non-reporting once he's completed the conditions. All right, and I will waive, I'll waive 9 months of the fees, all right?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Jackson, did I place Mr. Jackson under oath? I'm not sure that I did. Please raise your right hand, Mr. Jackson. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury? All right, you can put your hand down. Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol at this time?
Oh, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney's representation?
Yes, ma'am.
Did anyone promise you anything in exchange for taking the plea?
No, ma'am.
Did anyone force you to take a plea?
Oh, ma'am.
You understand that by taking the plea, you'll have no further court dates about this particular case?
Yes, ma'am.
And you understand that you're giving up your right to have the state prove these charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yeah, I got your call.
Ma'am.
I'm saying you're giving up your right to have the state prove these charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And you also understand that you have to take a class and that you, let's see, what else is he supposed to do? Was there community service here, Mr. Young? I don't believe there was.
No, Your Honor, there's no community
I just
service.
wanted to make sure. All right, you have to take a class and you can have no further contact, I believe, with Ms. Jackson. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, as to the charge of simple battery family violence, Mr. Jackson, how do you plead?
Yes.
I accept your guilty plea. Is there anything further from state or the defense?
No, ma'am.
All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Jackson. That concludes your case. All right, who do we have next?
Your Honor, 1 second. Your Honor, I don't know what 3, Mr. Thompson, Donald. Apologize for the time.
I'm sorry, what position number?
Add on number 3, Mr. Thompson, Donald.
Okay. All right, good morning, Mr. Thompson. Your case is 21 CR 003890D. In this case, you're charged with DUI and failure to maintain lane. Do you understand your rights today? Did you hear your rights? Let me explain them. You have an absolute right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You also have the right to an attorney. Counsel, will you please enter your appearance today? Is that Mr. McLean? It's hard to see.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, just making sure it was still you. All right. You also, I'm conducting this proceeding by video. That means any member of the public can watch this. Do you understand how I'm conducting this proceeding, Mr. Thompson? And do you understand your rights? Was that a yes?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, what is the announcement, Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, it's going to be a negotiated plea. We've gone through discussing the idea of making bond and visiting this another day. And that would entail getting hold of somebody to make the bond. We've discussed negotiated pleas, we've discussed non-negotiated pleas, and we discussed what the state was willing to allow on the 120. If the state is still at 90 today, that's the negotiated plea he's decided he would like to ask for.
All right, Mr. Young, please give me the state's offer as well as a brief factual basis.
Your Honor, in this case, Mr. Thompson is charged with DUI, alcohol less served and failure to maintain. The state's recommendation in this case is 12 months served, 60 served 90 days, credit for time served 14 days, the balance probated, a $2,000 fine, alcohol, drug evaluation and treatment, and risk reduction within 90 days of release and 30 days community service. That was
30
for
days
the-
or 30 days or 30 hours?
On the plea rec, which this was done by another one in my office, it says 30 days community service, but I'm just 30 hours.
Good morning, Your Honor. Is this a DUI?
Yes.
So I'm assuming it's gonna be 240 hours community service if it's the second or the third DUI?
I just wanted to, that's fine. I just wanted to clarify. Usually I hear it in terms of hours, not days.
Correct. So that'll be 240 hours community service.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, it turns out we don't believe this really is his third DUI. We think it maybe is the second.
Let's ask Ms. Tyson. Ms.
It
Tyson. what's
it
the
applies for the
history?
second as well.
Let's just hear the history anyway. Ms. Tyson, what's his history?
Your Honor, it looks like the defendant is a multi-state offender. He has 5 arrests out of Georgia, 3 out of Florida, and 1 out of Tennessee. Looks like the defendant has a DUI out of Fitzgerald. Disposition date on that is September 2016. Let's see. He actually had another, it was another DUI. It just, the disposition doesn't say anything other than bind over. And that was February 2021, 1 FTA. He had 1 misdemeanor conviction in Tennessee for criminal simulation. Disposition date is June 2019. And he has, let's see, 1 arrest, 2005, so outside of the 10-year period. It was alcohol, beverage, curb, drinking prohibited. Nothing to add.
Okay, that's good. Thank you, Ms. Tyson. Very thorough. All right. So please continue, Mr. Young.
And on the failure to maintain lane, 12 months probation, $265 fine, consecutive with count 1.
Okay. So essentially he ends up being on probation for 24 months.
That's correct.
And how many additional days will he have to serve at the Fulton County Jail?
To serve
I'm bad at
90.
math. I'm bad at math. That's why I asked you all. Mr. McLean and Mr. Young, how many additional days is that? If he receives credit for the 2-for-1?
Your Honor, 14 days credit 2 days ago, so now it's been 2 days later, so that'll be 16 days credit when we divide the 90 in half. It'll be 45 minus 16, which equals, let's see, 45. Let me get my paper. 29 is what we figured instead of 31.
All right. So was that your understanding of the offer, Mr. McLean? And do you stipulate the factual basis, ID, and venue?
We do, and it is our understanding.
All right, Mr. Thompson, I'm going to ask you some questions. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury?
Yeah, it's the truth.
All right, you can put your hand down. Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol at this time?
No, I'm not.
You said no, you're not what? Okay, just making sure. Are you satisfied with your attorney's representation?
Yes.
Did anyone force you to take a plea today?
No.
Did anyone coerce you into taking the plea?
No, I wasn't.
Did anyone promise you anything in exchange?
No.
And you understand you'll have no further court dates regarding these particular charges if you take a plea?
Beg your pardon?
What I'm saying is you're not gonna have any further court dates if you take a plea today regarding this particular charges. You understand that?
I will not have any other court date?
No, you will not. You
Okay.
understand that? And you, basically, I'm asking, are you giving up your right to put on any defenses you may have had in a trial before a judge or a jury? Are you prepared to waive your right to go to trial?
Yes, I am.
All right. And you're prepared to waive your right to have the state give up, the state prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt?
To give up my rights?
Essentially, I'm asking more questions about whether or not you wish to go to trial.
No, I do not.
All right. And you understand the requirements that you have courses to take and an evaluation to go over, fines to pay, and you will be on probation for 24 months. You understand that?
Yes,
And you also need to complete 240 hours of community service.
okay. Can I ask one question though about the
The best person to ask these questions perhaps is Mr. McLean, but what is your question?
I'm a disabled veteran, so I only get paid once a month. So can my fine be established on paying all the money that's to be paid according to my?
Okay, I can't speak to how exactly you will pay your fine.
Okay,
Mr. McLean can probably explain that to you better. You'll be on probation
Yeah, it's
until,
not gonna be a lump sum, I'll put it that way. It'll be per month. In addition to the $49, they'll calculate the amount per month you owe on the fine.
all right?
yes,
All right, so you do understand those requirements. As to the charge of DUI and failure to maintain lane, Mr. Thompson, how do you plead?
guilty.
All right, I accept your guilty plea. Is there anything further, Mr. Young or Mr. McLean?
No, Your Honor.
All right,
No,
that's
Your
it
Honor.
to you, Mr. Thompson. That concludes your case at this time.
All right, good luck.
All right, who do we have next?
Position 7, Mr. Fernandez.
All right, it's good morning. Good morning, Mr. Fernandez. It says that he has a private attorney, Mr. Booker. Is Mr. Booker present? I don't see Mr. Booker on the line, so I don't think we can take this position yet. So let's hold for Mr. Fernandez. Is there someone else we can take?
23, Thompson.
Do you know?
All right, Mr. Thompson, your case.
Thomas, I'm sorry, Thomas.
Oh, Thomas, you're right. I apologize. Mr. Thomas, your case is 23 CR 0023114C. You're charged with battery and criminal trespass, damage to property with the offense date of March the 21st. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, what is the announcement for this case?
Negotiated plea, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Jones, if you give me the offer and factual basis, please.
Yes, Your Honor. So the state's offer today is going to be 12 months to serve, 365 days, credit for time served, 365, no further contact with our victim, Ms. Cherry Dunlap. Had this case gone to trial, Your Honor, the state would have been able to prove that on March the 21st, 2022, officers responded to 1031 Fair Street, in which the victim, Ms. Dunlap, advised officers that Mr. Freeman kicked in her door and forced his way into her residence without permission. While he was in, he then attacked the victim's friend, Mr. Charles Jackson, common spelling. After attacking Mr. Jackson, he then followed Mr. Jackson outside and later returned back in the house. Once he returned into the house, he started throwing the victim's clothes all over the floor and then proceeded to punch her in the mouth and in the face and put his hand around her neck and started choking her. Your Honor, that is the sufficient basis for the state's recommendation today.
All right, and was that your understanding of the offer, Mr. McLean? And do you stipulate the factual basis, ID, and venue?
We do, Your Honor. Yes, we know what happened to the choking charge, right?
All right. Mr. Thomas, please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today for the limited purposes of taking the plea to be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol at this time?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney's representation?
Yes, ma'am.
Did anyone force you to take a plea today?
No, ma'am.
Did anyone promise you anything in exchange?
No, ma'am.
And you understand you're giving up your right to present any defenses you may have had to these charges?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're giving up your right to have the state prove these charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, ma'am.
And you understand that you can have no contact with Ms. Dunlap, but otherwise the time that you served in the Fulton County Jail will close your case?
Yes, ma'am.
As to the charge of battery and criminal trespass damage to property, how do you plead, Mr. Thomas?
Guilty.
I accept your guilty plea. Is there anything further from either party?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right. Best of luck to you, sir. That concludes your case at this time.
Position number 15, Kelly.
Okay, let's see.
It sounded like such a.
All right, I have that this is a negotiated plea. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, it's a negotiated plea.
All right, Mr. Kelly, your case is 23 CR 002093A. You're charged with theft by taking with the offense date of July 4th of 2021. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Jones, if I could have the offer and factual basis, please.
Yes, ma'am. So the state's offer is going to be 12 months to serve 32 days, credit for time served 16 days, restitution of $786, a death course, a stay away from 1720 Marietta Boulevard, and no further contact with the victim, Mr. Cecil Cunningham. Your Honor, on August the 2nd of 2021, at approximately 7 p.m., officers responded to 1720 Marietta Boulevard of a potential theft call. Upon arrival, the officer met with Mr. Cecil Cunningham, and Mr. Cunningham stated that he conducted an audit of the cash register at a Shell's gas station in which he noticed $786 was missing from the final total. Upon conducting the audit, he reviewed the video footage and it showed Mr. Kelly taking the money out of the register and placing it into his pocket during his work shift. So for those purposes, that's why the state has sent that recommendation.
All right, thank you. And Ms. McLean, you stipulate the factual basis, ID, and venue. And that was your understanding of the offer in this case?
We do, and it is our understanding, yes, Your Honor.
All right, I'm going to ask you some questions. Mr. Kelly, please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol at this time?
No, ma'am.
Did anyone force you to take a plea today?
No, ma'am.
Did anyone promise you anything for taking a plea?
No, ma'am.
And you understand that you're giving up your right to any further court date regarding these charges?
Yes.
And you're satisfied with your attorney's representation?
Yes.
And you're prepared to waive your right to have the state prove these charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, ma'am.
And you understand that taking a guilty plea may affect other aspects of your life, such as immigration or employment?
Yes.
All right, as to the charges of, I'm sorry, and you understand the requirements that you have to pay $786 in restitution. You'll get credit for the time you served in Fulton County Jail. You should not have any additional time, but you must stay away from the address on Marietta Boulevard and have no contact with Mr. Cunningham. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, as to the charge of theft by taking, Mr. Kelly, how do you plead?
Guilty.
I accept your guilty plea. Is there anything further, Mr. McLean or Mr. Jones?
Your Honor, could the court grant him a break on the probation fees for a while?
All right, I will waive 3 months of fees.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Kelly. All right, who do we have next?
Position 18, Mr. Langford.
All right, that's Mr. Murphy's case, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
Judge. Yes, it is.
All right, and your announcement, Mr. Murphy?
Yes, we have a negotiated plea to the one count.
All right, wonderful, thank you. Mr. Langford, your case is 21 CR 004210Y. You're charged with criminal trespass in this case. You understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Jones, if I could have the offer and factual basis, please.
Yes, Your Honor. So the state's offer is going to be 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 1 day. The balance is going to be suspended with a stay away. The state would have been able to prove that on August the 10th of 2023, officers responding to a criminal trespass at 1076 Hardy Street Northeast. Upon arriving, a white female and a black male matching the description provided to dispatch were walking from the property. The defendant advised officers he was just walking through the backyard. After clearing the property, officers discovered a broken kitchen window in the slide, and it was slid into the open position. Another neighbor provided video footage that showed the defendant entering and occupying the premise, Your Honor. So that is the premise for the state's recommendation today.
All right. Was that
Judge.
your? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Murphy.
Judge will be looking to tender a no contest plea. There was, in fact, a co-defendant by the name of Miss Daniels, Stephanie Lynn Daniels. And the reason we're asking for the NOLO is that she took a plea to this case on a reduced charge of a possession of drug-related object. As I understood, the plea was initially 12 months to serve 120 days. He actually has 67 days credit, so it would be a time served matter. And we do agree to stay away from 1076 Hardy Street. Your Honor, my client acknowledges that he did have a substance issue back in that time in question, but he asserts he was not putting this the wheels in motion on this incident. But we feel that this would be if Your Honor will allow a no contest plea, there was nothing aggravated. This place was not damaged in any way, shape, or form, but for possibly a window, and there's no one to determine who broke the window. But we'd ask that the court consider a NOLO plea on this, Your Honor.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Murphy, do you stipulate the factual basis, ID, and venue?
We do. I have reviewed everything, and I wanted to announce for the court that I did meet with Mr. Langford in person at the Fulton County Jail, and we went over the forms prior to him signing and initialing.
All right, Ms. Tyson, can I have his history, please?
Sorry, yes, Your Honor. It looks like he's actually a multi-state offender. He has 34 cycles in Georgia and 4 cycles in Indiana. He has 3 misdemeanor convictions outside of the 10-year period. 2 felony convictions outside of the 10-year period. He has 1 felony conviction for possession of cocaine. Disposition on that is March 2017, and that's out of Fulton County.
Is it 2017?
Yes, March 2017. And then he also has a manufacture, possession, distribution of controlled substance in a drug-free commercial zone area, same disposition date.
Okay.
And he has a current open case for aggravated assault.
Yes, Your Honor. If I can chime in on that note, that is what he's currently being held on, which is the 68 days that opposing counsel mentioned. So just want to make sure that we're clear about his time served on this particular charge.
Okay, on this charge, he's only served 1 day,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
and he would have to serve how many additional days?
He 14.
Okay. I'm sorry. go ahead.
Judge, I would say that when I received the recommendation last week, it was already indicated that it was credit for time served. And that's what we relied on.
Okay, and that's no longer the offer, Mr. Jones?
That is no longer the offer, Your Honor.
Does your
Judge-
client still want to take this plea, Mr. Murphy? Or do you want to go non-negotiated?
Mr. Langford,
But he still has another, not that
Yeah,
that matters.
he still
much,
has
but
the open case,
He
yes.
still has
does.
an open case holding him
Yes.
in, so, Mr. Murphy, would you like to speak with your client quickly, or?
Yes, just very briefly, Judge, very briefly. Thank you.
Okay. Do you want to give the courtroom 2 a call?
I'm not in courtroom 2.
Oh, I'm sorry, he's not, you're right, can we do a breakout then, Ms. Lewis?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right, and I guess we'll be on hold. We'll be on hold while they do
Thank you,
that.
Judge.
We'll come back to that position.
Your Honor, if I may interject.
Mr. Jones, I may need you to give me that offer again. When we come back, it may be gone. All right, who do we have next?
Your Honor, if I may interject, on number 25, we're going to ask to change that to a non-negotiated plea because we're going to ask for the credit for time served to be sufficient for him to go start his probation now instead of on the plea offer sheet, it's just a typo apparently or something on the credit for time served. So that's why we'd like to go non-negotiated.
All right, is that who we have now? Is that who's before me?
Turner, yes, Turner.
All right, Mr. Turner, your case is 23-CR002127F. In this case, you're charged with theft by taking. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and I understand it's not negotiated. Mr. Jones, can I have the state's offer on factual basis?
Your Honor, the state's offer was a typo on the sheet. We are willing to turn this into a time served. So 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days. Stay away from Miss Joya Neal. No further contact with Miss Joya Neal. Stay away from 3804 MLK Junior Drive Southwest and ADET and anti-theft class and $100 restitution, Your Honor. Had this case going to trial, the state would have been able to prove that on April 6th of 2023 at 9:30 a.m., officers responded to a larceny from a vehicle at 3804 MLK Junior Drive. Upon arrivals, officers made contact with the victim, Ms. Joya Neal, who advised items were taken out of her purse, her debit card, and $100 from the cup holder of her car. The defendant was seen on camera purchasing items at 2 Citgo gas stations. The amounts were $88.73 and $19.51, Your Honor. That's the basis for the state's recommendation.
All right, is that your understanding of the offer, Mr. McLean? And do you stipulate the factual basis, ID, and venue?
It is our understanding of the offer, and we do so stipulate, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Turner, please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol at this time?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with Mr. McLean's representation?
Absolutely.
Did anyone force you to take a plea?
No, ma'am.
Did anyone promise you anything in exchange?
No, ma'am.
And you understand that you're giving up your right to have the state prove these charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're waiving your right to trial by judge or jury?
Yes, ma'am.
And you understand that you cannot go back to that location on MLK. You cannot have any contact with Ms. Neal. You're gonna undergo some evaluations, pay $100 of restitution, and take an anti-theft class?
I am.
All right. As to the charge of theft by taking, Mr. Turner, how do you plead?
Guilty.
I accept your guilty plea. Is there anything further from either party?
Your Honor, because there are 3 items, not just 1 or 2, but 3 items that are going to cost a pretty penny each, we'd like to ask for as much break as possible so he could get to the point of finishing those items and then go non-reporting and try to avoid probation fees.
All right, we'll waive 3 months of fees, all right?
And do you think, Your Honor, that it could be okay to be non-reporting after he
You
finishes?
can go non-reporting after completing the requirements.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Turner. Let's return to Mr. Langford. Mr. McLean?
Judge,
I'm sorry, Mr. Murphy. What did
I conferred with Mr. Langford, and he's indicated that we'll go forward on the plea. And if that means he's got another 14 days, that will be fine. He does not wish to go non-negotiated. And again, we for the if the court would consider a nolo plea, given that there's an open case. And
All right, in light of the history, even though it's interesting, I will allow the nolo plea based upon the information before me.
thank you for raising the court, Your Honor.
Mr. Jones, will you please put the offer back onto the record? I promise I've tried to remember, but it's gone.
That's okay, Your Honor. 12 months to serve, 30 days, credit for time served 1 day. balance to suspended, stay away from 10776 Hardy Street Northeast.
All right, Mr. Langford, please raise your right hand. I'm going to place you under oath. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury? He's muted. Can we unmute him on jail court iPhone? Thank you. Do you make that representation, Mr. Langford?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol at this time?
No, ma'am.
Have you been able to fully understand this proceeding today?
Yes, ma'am.
Did anyone force you to take a plea?
No, ma'am.
Did anyone promise you anything in exchange for taking the plea?
No, ma'am.
And you understand by taking the plea, you're giving up your right to trial by judge or jury?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're prepared to waive your right to have the state prove these charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, ma'am.
And you understand that you cannot go back to Hardy Street, and after serving an additional 14 days, that should conclude this matter? You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
As to the charge of criminal trespass, Mr. Langford, how do you plead?
Guilty.
I accept
Nolo.
your guilty. I'm sorry, it's gonna be Nolo.
Yes,
How do you
yes.
plead? You're gonna say no contact.
No. No. I'm sorry.
All right, we accept your Nolo plea at this time. I believe that concludes his case. Is there anything further, Mr. Murphy or Mr. Jones?
No, Your
Judge,
Honor.
I'd only say that, that he does live in DeKalb County. So he certainly has no connection with that address and he will stay away from there. Thank you,
We
Your Honor.
appreciate that. Thank you. Mr. Murphy, does that conclude your business this morning?
It does, Your Honor. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Take care. All right, bye-bye. Always good to see you. All right, who do we have next?
26, Wilcox.
All right, I have that this is going to be a not guilty plea. Mr. McLean, is that still correct?
That's correct. We'd like to waive the formal reading of the accusation and ask the court to tell him about the maximum punishment and the fact that he should look out for further court dates.
All right. All right, so you, are you waiving Raymond at all, or are you just waiving a reading of the accusation?
The reading of the accusation.
Okay, so you like his case formally arraigned. All right, give me one moment. I do appreciate you waiving the formal reading. All right, Mr. Wilcox, your case is 23 CR 002138G. In this case, you're charged with battery and willful obstruction of law enforcement officers with the offense date of March 26th of 2023. This case has been formally accused by the Solicitor General. And at this time, your case will be reset for trial. At that trial, you will have the right to an attorney just as you've had today. And you do not have the burden to prove those charges. The state, represented by the Solicitor General, bears that burden. And if they convince the jury or a judge beyond a reasonable doubt, and you receive a conviction in this case, you can face a sentence of up to 1 year in prison or a fine of $1,000. And those charges can run concurrently or consecutively. Based upon the information I presented to you today, Mr. Wilcox, do you plead not guilty to these charges?
Yeah, ma'am.
All right, I accept your not guilty plea. At this time, your case will be reset for trial. And you'll receive further notice regarding your court date. All right?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Wilcox. All right, Mr. McLean, are you asking to be heard on bond?
I have another charge. Okay.
Ms. McLean,
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
are you asking to be heard on bond or no?
Your Honor, he has something else that makes it moot. If I might, I'll talk with him a little bit further and get back with the court before we finish.
All right, that's fine. All right, we can take another position if possible. Who do we have next?
Pro se.
I'm sorry, what position?
Number 13, 13.
Okay, and this position, he'd like to go pro se?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Jackson, you understand you have the right to the services of the Public Defender's Office and you're choosing to represent yourself? All right, Mr. Jackson currently has a bond of what amount? Whose case is this for the state?
It's mine, Your Honor.
All right, what's his current bond for this criminal trespass?
Give me a moment and I'll pull that up.
I think it's $1,000.
He has $1,000 good bond?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, and Mr. Young, is there an offer in his case today?
Yes, Your Honor. The offer is 12 months or 16 days. Credit for time served, I think it's 8 days, and stay away from 1440 St. Michael Avenue. This is his mother's residence. That's the state's offer.
Okay, Mr. Jackson, you wish to represent yourself today and take an offer for a plea? And I need you to speak loudly. There's some background noise at courtroom 2. What would you like to do today? And I don't want you to say too much. Do you understand that you have a right to remain silent and you have a right to an attorney today?
I guess.
Okay, so would you like to take the state's offer? The public defender's office is there. Do you wish for them to represent you?
Man, whatever y'all gonna do anyway, it doesn't need to matter.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. You have to speak louder. I think you should speak with Mr. Dotis or Mr. McLean, who are there in the courtroom and can help you with this case. Are you willing to speak with the public defender's office?
Man, it doesn't matter, man.
Okay, Mr. Dotis, will you speak with him?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. I'd like to get an announcement in which direction he'd like to move forward.
Thank you.
While we're doing that, is there another position we can take?
Can we go back to Wilcox?
I don't think are we ready on Wilcox?
Position number 26.
Mr. McLean was gonna speak to him. So are we done, Mr. McLean?
We finished talking to him.
Yes, Your Honor, we're finished. We have nothing further. Thank you.
Okay, so that's the end of your case, Mr. Wilcox.
All right, thank you.
All right, who do we have next?
Thank you, Gabrielle.
We are done in courtroom for a moment.
Okay. I know that have any private attorneys joined the Zoom conference? There's several positions that had private counsel.
Judge, I got an announcement on Mr. Booker. He just emailed me, indicated that he's in court in Gwinnett County Superior Court. He said he would try to get away to log on to make his announcement on his case. Right now, he's tied up.
What position did he have?
That was position number 7 on the counter.
Oh, just the one, okay.
Yes.
If not, we'll have to reset Tuesday SAP. Unfortunate. Is there space on Tuesday's SAP, Miss Champion?
Yeah, there is. It's just that the counter's already out. It just be an add-on.
I know. I don't love doing it, but
I'll be doing the counter, so.
okay.
So yeah,
Worst
there's
case,
room on
if he
there.
doesn't log on before we finish.
Yes, okay.
All right. I know Miss McLeod had a position. I saw Miss McLeod earlier. We're still holding for several.
Yes, Your Honor, mine is on the competency calendar, so.
Oh, okay, so you won't be, we won't be with you. Can we start the competency calendar? Is Mr. Howard here?
And don't forget, you got a DV counter too, Judge.
I do. I didn't receive a DV
Hold
counter.
on, let me make sure.
I don't think that's correct, Ms. Lewis. Don't scare me like that.
That's on my counter for Tuesday.
Yeah, I don't think I have a DV calendar today. I would have looked at that. All right. Mr. Howard, Mr. Walker here. I'm happy to
I'm
start.
here, Your Honor.
You know, that's my favorite part, Mr. Walker. Is Mr. Howard here? If
Judge,
not,
I'm sorry, we got position number 20 just walked in. Mr. King.
okay, I tried. All right, we're gonna go to position 20. All right, the announcement, I have that is hold for an announcement. Mr. McLean, what is the announcement?
Your Honor, if I might, Oh, Mr. Pack was not brought out, so, I understand. He wasn't brought out yesterday. We just need to speak to him for a moment.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
In the, Ms. McLeod, do you only have the one case on the competency calendar?
Yes, Your Honor, that is correct.
All right, can I go into a breakout, please, with Ms. McLeod and Mr. Walker?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I'll be right back. Hopefully I can get this one done.
Said I'll be back. The judge said.
What will pop?
Ms. Jones, Mr. Wilcox's case has already been handled. If you want to reach out to the advocate.
Me to stay online until you guys are finished to talk to the advocate.
Okay, all right, well, if you can just hold on. If you could turn off your camera because you're not supposed to be driving and on the video, thank you.
All right, is there another position that we can take?
Position 21, Mr. Redding.
All right, it says not brought out, so I'm assuming the public defender's office will need to speak with him as well. Is that correct, Mr. McLean?
That is absolutely correct, Your Honor. If they can't bring him down to the courtroom.
Right, we're not ready. Okay, so we can't take that position. Mr. Reddy will need to speak with Mr. McLean.
Well, can we do, Mr. Pack, position number 20? Oh, that might not work.
I'm sorry, position 20?
Yes, ma'am.
That was the one that I'm not sure have we finished that interview?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
what is the announcement for position 20?
Your Honor, we'd like to do a non-negotiated plea.
Okay. In light of the fact, okay, Mr. Pack, your case 23 CR 002118C. You're charged with criminal trespass. You understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Tyson, can I have his history, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Give me 1 second. Looks like the defendant has, let's see, 1, 2, 3 felony convictions outside of the 10-year period. At least 1 FTA, 1, 2. About 9 violations of probation. Let's see. His misdemeanor conviction for theft by shoplifting out of Fulton County, Scanolo plea on November 2019. Another theft by shoplifting out of Douglas County. Disposition date on that is November 2021. He has a felony conviction out of Cobb County for possession of cocaine, theft by shoplifting, burglary, and criminal trespass. Disposition date on that is November 2021.
Okay, I think that's good. Thank you, Ms. Tyson.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Young, if you give me the state's recommendation as well as the factual basis.
Yes, Your Honor. So this is going to be.
Oh, it's
my
Mr.
case.
Jones. I apologize.
No, it's okay. It's okay. 12 months to serve, 60 days, credit for time served, 15 days, balance suspended, and stay away from all MARTA locations. Your Honor, on April 6, 2023, officers observed Mr. Pack on the MARTA premises at the MARTA Garnett station. And he knew at this time that he had a current suspension, a permanent suspension from all MARTA premises that was issued just this year on January 26th of 2023. That is the basis for the state's offer, Your Honor.
All right, and he would have to serve an additional, is it
15 days.
15 days. All right, Mr. McLean.
Your Honor, the only variation he's asking for from that, he does certainly appreciate the idea of balance suspended, of course. But Your Honor, his disability check could well be cut off when the disability folks understand that a person's been in jail 30 days, sometimes they'll cut that check and it's just the devil to get it cut back on. And so if he could have time served on the jail portion of the sentence, that would avoid a societal rift.
Okay, so he's been in the Fulton County Jail for 15 days. And
Yeah.
you're asking for credit for time served. I'm sorry, it's 15 days served, credit for time served, 30 days. Is that
Right.
your request?
Exactly, Your Honor, because I feel like he's gotten the point, he understands to stay out of MARTA.
All right, I will accept the defense's recommendation at this time. If he wants to take the plea today. Does he want to take the plea and do you stipulate the factual basis, ID and venue?
Yes, Your Honor, he does.
All right, Mr. Pack, please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you can put your hand down. Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol at this time?
No, Your Honor.
Did anyone force you to take a plea today?
No, Your Honor.
Did anyone promise you anything in exchange for taking the plea?
No, Your Honor.
Are you prepared to waive your right to trial by judge or jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're prepared to waive your rights to any further court date where the state would have to prove these charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you further understand that you absolutely cannot return to MARTA under any circumstances?
Yes, Your Honor.
As to the charge of criminal trespass, Mr. Pack, how do you plead?
Guilty.
All right, at this time, defendant's gonna be on probation for 12 months. He served 15 days in the Fulton County Jail. He's gonna get credit for the 30 days, however, and he's gonna permanently stay away from MARTA. All right, and comply with all active MARTA suspensions.
Oh, Your Honor, we were, balance suspended instead of probated.
I'm sorry, you're correct. Balance will be suspended upon release.
Very good.
I
Thank you.
apologize. All right, is there anything? It's hard to do this when I don't have these pre-written out for me. All right, is there anything further from state or the defense?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Pack.
Your Honor, I have a question.
No, speak to
Okay, I gotta ask-
Mr.
Ask him.
Yeah, wait, whoa.
All right, who do we have next?
Position 4 and 5.
Okay. And that one is, again, the private attorney. Is Mr. Dixon on the line? I don't believe we can do 4 and 5. We may have to reset that case if Mr. Dixon has not appeared.
Judge, he was on the line. He's in another court. He's in and out, so hopefully he'll get back on. He's been on, but at the time he was not addressing this.
It was not, all right, will you alert me when he returns, Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, we can't do 4 and 5 yet. Is there another position we can do?
Bring it down here. Mr. Reddick.
All right. We're not holding for position 1. We've done 2 holding for 4 and 5. Position 6 should not, final disposition has been entered. Position 7, we're waiting on Mr. Booker to come back. Ms. Lewis, will you alert me to his arrival as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's see. What about position 9? Is there any, and is position 9 there? Will position 9 be brought?
She's asking about position 9. Is he gonna be brought down?
I think for position 9.
Ms. Dixon's coming on your line. Mr. Dixon's coming on the line now.
Okay, well, is position 9 gonna be brought?
That should be showing up on jail iPhone. If an officer gets there, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll go back to position 4 and 5. That's Mr. Dixon's case. I see Mr. Dixon is on the line. Where is? Can we go back to 4 and 5? Where is 4 and 5?
Hey, good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. What is your announcement, Mr. Dixon?
So, Judge, I'm just a little confused how this case got on the state's all-purpose calendar. I know we previously appeared on plea and arraignment in front of Judge Mather, and I know Mr. Carter picked up another case that we're also going to be representing him on for a global resolution. We were negotiating the initial DV case with
Okay.
Mecca Anderson.
So do you wish to just waive arraignment on this case, enter a formal waiver of arraignment, and then have this case become part of what you're negotiating on behalf in terms of the other cases?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so is your client at courtroom 2? I don't see Mr. Carter.
Excuse me, Your Honor. He's on the iPhone.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Dixon.
Oh no, I just couldn't hear you because my phone was going in and out. I'm leaving the Cobb County Courthouse, but I don't believe he's on the in courtroom 2. I believe he's in Fulton County Jail, but he's not in the courtroom.
I see him. He's now on the iPhone. What I was gonna suggest,
Okay.
if you don't wish to be heard on bond or accept a plea deal on these two charges today, I'm gonna ask that you waive formal arraignment and enter that waiver of arraignment by close of business today, if possible.
Excuse me, Judge, I'm sorry, but he had already waived arraignment on the first.
Oh,
case.
he's
The
already-
only one he's having arraignment on is 23 CR 002129G. The other one was a waive. I think the case
Okay.
manager put it on the counter because of the fact that he was incarcerated.
Okay, so did you hear that, Mr. Dixon? What we need you to do is waive arraignment on his second case ending in 2129G. And then you can continue negotiating the rest of the cases for global resolution.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes. So we raised formal arraignment on the fleeing and eluding charge. And we plead not guilty and ask this case be set to jury calendar.
Okay. Okay. So we still need you to enter the formal waiver for that fleeing and eluding. We have it for the battery family violence, but for the other case, we just need you to enter it, Mr. Dixon. Okay?
Yes, Your Honor. I'll enter that before the close of business today.
Okay, appreciate that very much. Mr. Carter, what's gonna happen is your attorney has waived a formal reading of the charges against you. He's gonna continue to work on your behalf to resolve all of your pending cases, okay? So just stay in touch with him, all right?
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Best of luck to you. That concludes our business with you today, all right?
Cepeda, I come down and see you.
Oh, it's breaking up very badly.
Okay, I heard. All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Great. Thank you, Judge.
You can be excused. Take care, Mr. Dixon. All right, who do we have next?
Position 21, Mr. Redding.
All right, has anyone been able to speak to Mr. Reddy?
Yes.
All right,
Mr.
Mr. McLean, what's the announcement? And you're muted at courtroom 2, Mr. McLean.
That's a negotiated plea, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Redding, your case is 23 CR 001931E. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You also have a right to an attorney here today. This proceeding is being broadcast over the internet. It's also being recorded. That means any member of the public can watch this. Do you understand your rights and how I'm conducting this hearing today?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Jones, if you would please give me the state's offer and factual basis, please.
Yes, Your Honor. The state's offer is going to be 12 months to serve 45 days. Credit for time served 21 days, balance probated. There will be a $500 fine, and that is to be attached to the reckless driving account. Had this case gone to trial, the state would have been able to prove that on March 29, 2023, officers were attempting to conduct a traffic stop on a blue 2020 Land Rover. The defendant refused to stop and fled through oncoming traffic, running red lights, driving at a high rate of speed, and crashing into things. After driving reckless, the defendant then jumped out of the car and fled on foot through the city of Atlanta. For those reasons, that's why the state has made this offer, Your Honor.
All right. Was that your understanding of the offer, Mr. McLean? And do you stipulate to factual basis ID and venue?
Yes, Your Honor, and we do so stipulate, yes.
All right, Mr. Redding, please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol at this time?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney's representation?
Yes, ma'am.
Did anyone promise you anything in exchange for taking a plea?
No, ma'am.
Did anyone force you to take a plea?
No, ma'am.
You can put your hand down, by the way. Do you understand that by taking a plea, you're giving up your right to trial by judge or jury?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're giving up your right to have the state prove these charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yes, ma'am.
And you understand the requirements that you have a fine to pay and you're going to be on probation?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, as to the charges of willful obstruction, reckless driving, and failure to report striking an object, Mr. Redding, how do you plead?
Guilty.
I accept your guilty plea at this time. Is there anything further, Mr. McLean or Mr. Jones?
You know, I'll just note, he's got something else holding him. He would be eligible to leave the jail to work the other thing in 48 hours, but it won't be a problem.
All right, and how much additional time does he have to serve for this charge? I apologize. I know he has some. What's the additional time?
He has
Two,
two additional days.
right.
Okay, so you only have 2 additional days for this particular charge. All right, you understand that as well, Mr. Redding?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Is there anything further? If not, that will conclude Mr. Redding's case.
Thank you.
All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Redding.
Thank you.
All right, who do we have next?
Your Honor, position number 13, Mr. Jackson.
Okay, Mr. Doty spoke with Mr. Jackson. Mr. Doty, do you represent him at this time?
Yes, Your Honor, I did speak with Mr. Jackson, and I've answered all questions, and I believe this will now be a negotiated plea.
Okay. All right, Mr. Jackson, your case is 23 CR 002292Y. Do you understand your rights? In this case, you're charged with criminal trespass. You understand your rights today?
Good.
Okay, Mr. Young, if I could please have the not history, I apologize, the factual basis and offer.
And Your Honor, we would stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID for the purpose of the plea.
Thank you.
The state's recommendation in this case is 12 months, served 16 days. Credit for time served 8 days. Stay away from the incident location, 1440 St. Michael Avenue. And no further contact with the resident that lives at this location, his mother, Dorothy Jackson.
Okay, thank you. And that was your understanding of the offer, Mr.
That was-
Doty?
Yes, Your Honor, that was our understanding. We would ask for a one-time sheriff's escort in order for Mr. Jackson to retrieve any property if necessary.
Okay, the court will grant that. All right, I'm gonna ask you some questions, Mr. Jackson, to make sure this is a voluntary plea. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury? Okay, you can put your hand down. Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol at this time?
No.
Are you satisfied with Mr. Dotis's representation?
Good.
Did anyone force you to take a plea?
No.
Did anyone promise you anything for taking a plea? Did anyone promise you anything, Mr. Jackson?
He did tell me that, he'll make sure that, yeah, there's the things that he should say, yeah.
Yes. Anything outside of the offer, has anyone else promised you anything?
No.
Okay. And you understand the requirements that you should not have to serve additional time at the Fulton County Jail, but you cannot go back to your mother's house or have contact with her other than returning one time to get your items. Do you understand that?
I think he answered it, but if you could speak up.
You understand that, Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
All right. As to the charge of criminal trespass, how do you plead? You said not guilty?
If you want to accept the plea, you have to plead guilty.
Do you wish to accept the plea today?
Good.
All right, I accept your guilty plea. If you don't have other holds, you should be released shortly, but this case will no longer be holding you in the Fulton County Jail, all right? All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Jackson. That concludes your case. All right, who do we have next?
Your Honor, we have Mr. Dupree. Come up, sir.
We have position what?
It might have been an add-on, Your Honor. But the last name is Dupree. I believe competency 3.
Oh, competency 3. I don't know that we're ready for that yet. I don't see we're not quite ready for the competency calendar yet. Is there anyone left from state all purpose?
No, Your Honor.
Your Honor,
I'm still waiting. I have that we're still waiting on, let's see,
position 9, I know.
position 9.
Your Honor, do you need position 3? Calhoun?
I was told do not bring position 3. Is that so correct, Mr. Doty?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm waiving arraignment in presence.
Okay, so no, we don't need position 3. We're
Okay.
waiting on position
I'm
9.
going to 3 South right now to get
Okay.
position 9.
All right, we're waiting on 9. We're also waiting on 16 and 17, 19. I believe that's the only ones I have. Miss Champion, did I miss any?
I'm sorry. We all suspend. So they wouldn't-
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
Did we do position 14? I'm sorry.
Position 14 will be a reset.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, the announcement is do not bring.
She ain't talking, I guess. She doing.
We're
All right, is there a position we can take?
Position 9, Mr. Moore.
I have position 9, his last name Griffin. Is that not correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, 19.
Oh, okay. All right, what is the announcement for position 19, Mr. McLean? Is Mr. McLean still there?
He's headed over. I haven't.
Yes.
I have that it's a negotiation.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is
Okay.
19,
David Moore, that's a negotiated plea, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Moore, your case is 23 CR 002123G. In this case, you're charged with simple battery family violence with the offense date of April 3rd. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You also have the right to an attorney today, and this proceeding is being conducted over the internet. Do you understand your rights and how I'm conducting the hearing today?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank
That's
you.
correct.
Mr. Jones, if I could have the offer, please, as well as the factual basis.
Yes, Your Honor. So the offer for Mr. Moore is going to be 12 months to serve 30 days. Credit for time served 15, balance probated. There's going to be an FVIP class, stay away, and a no further contact with the victim, Mr. LaShawn Moore. And the stay away address, is going to be 1750 Madrona Street, Northwest Atlanta, Georgia. Had this case gone to trial, the state the state would have been able to prove the officers responded to a call around 10:27 p.m. to a dispute call between the defendant and Mr. LaShawn Moore. The defendant punched Mr. Moore with a closed fist and made contact with Mr. Moore's left eye, Your Honor. That is the basis for the state's case.
All right, Mr. McLean, do you stipulate the factual basis, ID, and venue, and was that your understanding of the offer?
Yes, Your Honor, because it's in his best interest, he feels that he does need to stipulate to the 3 elements, and that is his understanding of the terms.
All right, Mr. Moore, please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
All right, you can put your hand down. Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol at this time?
No, ma'am.
Did anyone promise you anything in exchange for taking a plea?
No, ma'am.
Did anyone force you to take a plea?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney's representation?
Yes, I am.
And you understand that taking the plea, you're waiving your right to any further court date?
Correct. Yes.
And you're giving up your right to have the state prove these charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes.
And taking a plea may affect other aspects of your life, such as employment or immigration?
Correct. Yes.
All right, and you understand that the time you serve should essentially close your case. Sir, you won't have to serve additional time in the Fulton County Jail, but you will have to complete a course, and you cannot have any contact with the with Mr. Moore. You understand all of that?
Understood.
All right. As to the charge of simple battery family violence, how do you plead, Mr. Moore?
Ma'am.
How do you plead to the charge
Guilty.
of simple? All right, I accept your guilty plea. Is there anything further, Mr. McLean or Mr. Jones?
Your Honor, because that FVIP course is so long and therefore so expensive, we would ask the court to consider a 5-month waiver on the $49 fee.
5-month waiver is so granted.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Moore. That
Thank you.
concludes your case.
Thank you.
All right, is there another position we can take?
We have 16, 17 at some point, Your Honor.
And we're waiting on position 9.
Can I see Ms. Griffin, I believe, for position 9?
Yes, position 9, Mr. Griffin.
All right, your case is 23 CR 2137D. You're charged with criminal trespass with the offense date of April the 7th. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You also have a right to an attorney today. I'm conducting this proceeding over the internet. That means any member of the public can watch this. Do you understand all of that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. It's in the announcement. This is a non-negotiated plea.
Yes, Your Honor, and after further discussion with the state, well, this will be a negotiated plea, and we do stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID.
All right, thank you. Whose case is this for the state? Is it Mr. Jones, Mr. Young?
I'm sorry, what position is this?
Position 9.
Yes, that's mine, Griffin, Mr. Griffin.
All right. All right, if you would give me the offer as well as the very brief factual basis.
The plea record in this case is 12 months served, 30 days, credit for time served, 12 days with the, let me correct, me and the defense attorney came up with an alternative agreement. It's 12 months served, 24 days, credit for time served, 12 days with the balance probated, and stay away from 2909 Campbellton Road, Southwest in Atlanta. It's Hills at the Greenbrier Apartments. And the factual basis is that on 4/7/2023, the accused did re-enter the premises at this location without the said owner's consent. He had been trespassed from the property earlier that day by the owner. The accused is not a registered tenant, and he had showed up to this location more than once. He had been told more than once not to enter this location.
Okay. All right, and you've already stipulated that was your understanding of the offer.
Yes, Your Honor. And Ms. Griffin is clear that she cannot return to that address, so I don't think that will be an issue. Just to clarify, I believe the offer is now served 28 days credit for 14 days. Just want to make sure I got my numbers right.
Is that
time served?
Is that correct, Mr. Young?
Yes, that sounds correct. My numbers might be a little off.
All right. Will you please raise your right hand so I can ask you some questions to make sure this is a voluntary plea? Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol at this time?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney's representation?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Are you satisfied with your attorney's representation?
Yes, ma'am.
Did anyone force you to take a plea?
No, ma'am.
Did anyone promise you anything in exchange for taking a plea?
No, ma'am.
And you understand you're giving up your right to have a trial by judge or jury?
Yes, ma'am.
And you understand that taking a guilty plea may affect other aspects of your life, such as employment or probation or things of that nature?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're prepared to waive your right to have the state prove these charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, ma'am.
And you understand that you absolutely cannot return to that address?
Yes, ma'am.
As to the charge of criminal trespass, how do you plead?
Guilty.
I accept your guilty plea. Anything further, Mr. Young or Mr. Dotis?
Nothing from the state.
All right. That concludes the hearing. Best of luck to you. All right. Take care.
All right. So that mean I get released.
If you don't have any other holds, this case is no longer holding you in. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Take care.
Excuse me, Judge, would this be balance suspended or balance probated?
I was told balance probated. Is that correct, Mr. Young?
I didn't hear any conditions, so I believe it should be balance suspended. My apologies for not catching that.
I said balance probated. However, there are not any conditions. So
Yeah,
balance
balance suspended is more appropriate. Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Champion.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. All right. What about 16 and 17? And we're also holding on position. Did Mr. Booker return?
No, Judge, he has not responded yet.
Okay.
Gwinnett County Superior Court at this time. He said he's going to try to get away.
So we're only holding on 7, 16, and 17. Is that correct, Ms. Champion?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. All right, 16 and 17, hopefully we'll arrive at those soon. Mr. Howard, are you present yet?
One,
No, Mr. Howard yet.
you ready?
Excuse me, Judge. I also let Mr. Booker know in the email if he doesn't appear that his case will be added onto Tuesday SAP. So if he doesn't come on, I already informed him that it will be reset to the 25th.
That's perfect, thank you.
And Attorney Howard is walking over.
Okay, thank you. Is position 16 and 17 gonna be on the jail iPhone? Are we gonna be able to get position 16 and 17? Or will we be resetting those cases? Oh, I can't hear jail court iPhone.
16, 17 is going to be time served, balance suspended, stay away. It's ready.
Well, I guess my question more so is, are we gonna be able to find 16, 17 and bring them?
What's up? Hey.
Oh, it's one person, it's one person.
Hello, officer. I'm on special detail.
Oh.
Where you at?
He was easy to find yesterday, so he should be today.
Yeah.
Hello? Okay.
Morning, Mr. Howard, good to see you.
Good morning, Judge. Good to see you as well.
All right, I know we're not ready yet for competency. Who do we have next to you, Mr. Howard? Who's this?
His name appears as number 3 on that calendar, but he's able to proceed, Judge, so we can just do his plea.
Okay. Okay, position 3 on the other calendar.
Yes.
This is Mr. Dupree.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Dupree, your case is 22 CR 007945C. In this case, you're charged with willful obstruction and criminal trespass with the offense date of November the 24th. Did you hear and do you understand your rights today?
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Walker, this is your case?
Yes, it is, Your Honor. The state's recommendation is going to be an offer of time served. The defendant has served 148 days in the Fulton County Jail, balance suspended with a stay away condition from the incident location, which is the Georgia Aquarium located at 225 Baker Street.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Howard, was that your understanding of the offer, and do you stipulate the factual basis, ID, and venue?
We do, Judge.
Thank you. Mr. Dupree, please raise your right hand so I can ask you some questions, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you can put your hand down. Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol at this time?
No, I'm not.
Are you satisfied with Mr. Howard's representation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did anyone force you to take a plea?
No, ma'am.
Did anyone promise you anything in exchange for taking a plea?
No, Your Honor.
And you understand that taking the plea may affect other aspects of your life, such as employment or immigration, if that applies to you? You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're prepared to give up your right to have the state prove these charges against you by a reasonable doubt?
Yes.
Beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, I am.
And do you further understand that you're giving up your right to trial by judge or jury?
Yes, ma'am.
And you understand you absolutely cannot return to Georgia Aquarium, but otherwise the time you served in the Fulton County Jail should close your case?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, as to the charge of obstruction and criminal trespass, how do you plead, Mr. Dupree?
Guilty.
I accept your guilty plea. If there's nothing further, that closes your case. Anything further, Mr. Howard or Mr. Walker?
Nothing further, Judge.
All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Dupree. Who do we have at jail court iPhone?
position 16 and 17.
All right. And please pronounce your name for me, sir.
Caliphate.
All right, Mr. Califat, your cases are 22 CR 005132Y. In that case, you're charged with criminal trespass and committing certain prohibited acts at a bus or rail station. In the second case, 21 CR 005081Y, you're charged with simple assault and criminal trespass with the offense date of September the 16th. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You also have a right to an attorney today. And Mr. McLean is there to represent you. I'm conducting this hearing by video. That means any member of the public can log on and watch this. Do you understand your rights and how I'm conducting this hearing today?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Jones, if you give me the offer for both cases as well as factual basis.
Yes, Your Honor. So there are two different offers. So I'm going to start with position number 16. That's the case ending in 132Y. That offer is going to be 12 months to serve 263 days, credit for time served 263, balance suspended, and stay away from all martyr. On August 1st, 2022, at 6:20, plainclothes officers observed the defendant walking up and down the martyr ramp asking patrons for money. Upon making contact with the defendant, the officer read the defendant's name, in which the defendant had an active suspension that was issued on 10/17/2021 and expired on 10/17 of 2022. And that is the factual basis for the state's offer on the case ending in 132Y.
All right, and can you give me the offer and recommendation for the one ending in 5081Y?
Yes, Your Honor. So the offer and recommendation from the state is 12 months to serve, 182 days, credit for time served, 92 days, balance probated, no further contact with Ms. Veronica Vance, common spelling, stay away from 377 Decatur Street, Atlanta, Georgia, and at MHET. Your Honor, had this case went to trial, the state would have been able to prove that on 9/22/2021 at 9/21, Martyr Police Department reviewed their video footage from the King Memorial Station. And officers observed the defendant walking through the eastbound Martyr Station, asking several patrons again for money. The defendant then got on the train and then got off at another location and then began shadow boxing, which is punching the air several times. When the train arrived at the King Memorial, the victim was walking in the direction of the defendant. The defendant, still shadow boxing, punched the victim in the face and called the defendant a name. So then officers met with the victim, and the victim advised she was assaulted by the defendant.
All right. Ms. McLean, was that your understanding of the offer? Do you stipulate the factual basis, ID, and venue?
Well, two corrections, Your Honor. The last thing first would be, he didn't punch anybody. The punching in the air, she felt was in the direction of her at one point, so that's why it's assault. There was no contact. And the other thing is, Your Honor, the state and Mr. Howard were talking today and amended so it would be time served, balance suspended on both cases. And the number of days is 91, 353 days credit. And between the two cases, Your Honor, it would cover both of them and just plain simple time served, balance suspended, stay away.
And we're not, we're eliminating the evaluation?
Right, because he's already on his meds and he doesn't need an evaluation. The meds aren't causing any side effects. He's fine. He's going to stay on the meds. He doesn't need probation.
Mr. Jones, any notice of this?
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Were you aware of this? Had you all discussed that both cases were going to be balance suspended?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so we're going to eliminate the evaluation. All right. All right, so in light of those corrections and changes, Ms. McLean, do you stipulate?
Yes, Your Honor, we certainly do. Stipulate all three elements, and he asked, those are the terms, and we asked Proceed.
All right. Sir, will you please raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you can put your hand down. Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol at this time?
No, ma'am.
Did anyone promise you anything in exchange for taking a plea?
No, Your Honor.
Did anyone force you to take a plea?
No, Your Honor.
And do you understand that you're giving up your right to have the state prove these charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, ma'am.
You're waiving your right to trial by judge and jury for both of these cases?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you understand in the first case, you must stay away from MARTA, and the second case, you must stay away from the address of Decatur Street and have no contact with Ms. Vance?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, as to the charge of criminal trespass and committing certain prohibited acts in a train station, how do you plead?
Guilty.
And as to the charge of simple assault and criminal trespass in your case ending in 5081Y, how do you plead?
Guilty.
I accept your guilty plea at this time. If there's nothing further from either party, that will conclude your case.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
All right. Does that conclude state all purpose with the exception of position 7?
I believe it does, Your Honor. For position 14, I would just ask if we could have a firm date to set Ms. Johnson for on the competency calendar.
Okay, so what date is council requesting? Competency calendar typically has many positions and spots. So where are you asking to be reset to? How much time?
We will need we're ordering a mental health evaluation, so usually.
Well, I understand that part, but how much time would you like for her to be, would you like her to be reset for 30 days, 14 days? How much time are you requesting, Mr. Dotis?
Next week.
Okay.
It's not gonna be enough time if you're doing an eval, Judge.
Say that again? I
That's
know.
not gonna be enough time if the eval.
Oh, I know it's not necessarily enough time, but sometimes we just put it on there just to check to see what's going on. So what about 30 days?
I said the 25th of May.
Say again?
I said the 25th of May.
Okay. Is that enough time, Mr. Dotis?
Thank you, Your Honor, that works.
Okay. And I'm sure it may not even be done by then, but at least we've checked in on that.
Exactly. Thank you.
All right, so May the 25th, that case will be so reset. Ms. Champion, will you review state all purpose for me?
Position number 1 is gonna be reset for the notice jail jury. Position number 2 was a plea. Position number 3, reset for the notice jail jury. Position number 4 and 5, reset for the notice jail jury. Position number 6 was FDE on 413. Position number 7 will be reset to the SAP 425. Position number 8 is reset further notice with $1,000 pretrial bond per judge. Position number 9 was a plea. Position number 10 was a plea. 11, 12, and 13 will also pleas. Position number 14 is going to be reset to the SAP competency calendar, May 25th. Position number 15 was a plea. Position number 16 was a plea. Position number 17 was a plea. 18, 19 was a plea. Position number 20 was a plea. 21 was a plea. 22, 23, 24 was pleas. 25 was a plea. 26 is going to be reset further notice jail jury. Add-on position number 1 was a plea. Add-on 2 was a non-pros. Add-on 3 was a plea. Please make sure you submit all non-process and plea paperwork to me. And that's it. Any questions?
All right, if there aren't any, we'll begin the competency calendar. If
Judge, this is good, Ms. Lewis. We have several people on the counter. I don't know if they were here to observe or have any question, like Ms. Williams and another lady named Tracy iPhone. I think she made that off. I don't know if what they were here for.
will you, Ms. Williams, then for me, Ms. Lewis?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, hi, my name is Dina Williams, and my son Cameron Williams was on the calendar for today.
Oh, yeah,
and
they're on the, yes, don't say anything yet. They're on the other calendar, Ms. Lewis. They're on the calendar we're gonna address now.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, if I could be placed in a breakout with Mr. Walker, Mr. Howard, and Ms. McLeod, please.
And Your Honor, if the state can have our victim advocate join the breakout room, I believe she's listed as the SG victim advocate.
Okay, that's fine. Oh, I forget, is Kasha gonna be joining us, Mr. Howard? You're muted.
Yes, I believe she's gonna come.
Okay.
Everyone's great. Just call and know her. That's what I'm saying.
I'm joining breakout room 2.
And you know what, Your Honor, are you still there?
Uh-oh.
Ms. Lewis, can we have Mr. Jones and Mr. Young join me as well, please?
No, Ava's a nurse too.
I heard.
Mr. Howard, can you hear me?
Mr. Walker, is something wrong with your computer to get in the room?
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time, Ms.
I
Lewis?
said something wrong with your computer to get in the room. You are assigned.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you hear my
Mr.
request?
Cloud, are you trying to get? You are assigned already too.
Okay, so let me hear. I have it, thank you.
You're welcome. April, you are assigned too. All you guys gotta do is put yourself into the room. Ms. McLeod, do you see your name in the room to log in?
No, I don't see anything. I'm
Oh, you
still
gotta
waiting
hover
for it.
over more on your computer, and it will tell you to enter the breakout room.
Okay. I don't see it.
You may have to hover down at the bottom of your computer for it to come up.
I don't see anything. Breakout rooms. Okay, I see join breakout room.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, man.
For Norther in the breakout room at this time, who do you have present with you?
Position 28, Mr. Williams.
Okay, thank you. I'll let them know.
Thank you.
And he's ready to get the hell out of there.
No, Denver is always my go-to.
Phone. Was out there for about a good 40 minutes before he got started.
Ms. Williams, please keep yourself muted. We will get you to.
Oh,
you
okay.
back
All
on,
right.
and
Okay.
I'll
I
turn your
wasn't
camera
sure
back
what was
on.
going on.
We're in the breakout room right now, so once the judge
Okay.
is back on, I will.
Got
turn
you.
the camera
Okay.
back on. Please
All right. Okay.
Thank you. Ms. Williams? Ms. Williams? Ms. Williams?
What is going on with my phone? I'm here, man. Wait a minute. I'm here. Hello?
Ms. Lewis, you're on mute.
Wait a minute. You said I'm on. Wait a minute. Let
I'm
me see
sorry.
what's going on.
Ms. Williams? I am about to put you
Yes.
on in a breakout room with the individual. There's going to be a box that's gonna pop up. You may have to hit more choices on your phone because you're on a phone to get into the breakout room, okay?
Okay.
All right.
All right, meet your phone with.
She said I'm gonna have to hit what now?
For North, I am about to put you in a breakout room.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Lewis, not you, Katrina Lewis.
Yes, Ms. Thomas. How can I assist you today?
Are we done with SAP?
Yeah, we've been done with SAP when the
Oh,
judge went to the
shoot.
breakout room for the competency counter. You're free to go.
Oh, well, darn it, man. All right, well, y'all have a good one.
You too. Unless somebody take a plea on the count, I don't know.
Okay, okay, I'm
Just
gone.
hold on till
Have a
they
good-
get back on.
Oh, well, okay, thank you.
All righty.
All right, we've completed the entire competency calendar. All those, I don't think that do we need to review that? Let's review that calendar very quickly, Ms. Champion, if you don't mind. And then after that, we will be in recess until the next state all-purpose on Tuesday.
Position number 1 is going to be reset for the notice with a 2,500 signature bond. Position number 2 is reset to the competency calendar 5-4. Position number 3 was a plea. Position number 4, what date did we give Mr.
Oh, no, hold on. Position 4.
Foster, Marquez Foster?
Did I write it down? I think it was reset 2 weeks, Ms. Champion.
Yeah, 5-4, okay.
Yes.
Position number 5 is reset as competency 5-4. Position number 6 is reset competency 5-4. Position number 7 is also the same announcement. 8, 9, 10, and 11 is also 5-4. Position number 12, reset competency 5-4. Position number 13, reset competency 427. Position number 14 and 15, reset competency 5-4. Position number 16, reset competency 5-4. Position 17, reset competency 5-4. Position 18, reset competency 5-4. Position 19 was reset competency 5-4. Position 20 is going to be a 7,500 sign-on bond. It's going to be released she's going to be released next week. Position 21 is reset competency 427. 22 reset competency 427, 22 and 23. 24 and 25 is going to be 25 is going to have a sign-on bond with a $2,500 sign-on bond. And 24 already has a pretrial bond, so it's going to just be reset further notice. 26 is going to be reset competency 518. 27 is going to be reset competency 427. And 28 is going to have a $1,000 surety bond. We're just going to reset it further notice, or do you want to give it a reset date to make sure that the family bonds them out?
Let's reset to make sure. Let's reset 5-4.
5-4, okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Champion. Thank you, Mr. Walker, Mr. Howard.
So I
It's
just got a
always-
text asking if I could cover C calendar, so I guess I'll be there after all.
Yay, wonderful. So I'll see Mr. Walker at 2 p.m. hopefully, Mr. Howard. And if we need to continue this dynamic discussion, I look forward to it. Take care, everyone. And I'll see some of you at 2. Otherwise, we'll be in recess. See you all next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Howard, you still on? Mr. Howard.
They all went